Good afternoon. Justice B.B. Singh, former Judge Supreme Court of India, Dr. V.M. Bansal, Chairman, New Delhi Institute of Management, His Excellency Mr. Kenji Hiramatsu, Ambassador of Japan to India, Sri T.K. Nair, former advisor to the Prime Minister, Dr. Hon'ble Shri, distinguished members of the faculty, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, it's indeed a privilege for me to be present amidst you this afternoon on your 20th convocation. I congratulate all the successful graduates who have completed their course and have recognized by the university their hard work, toil, and ultimate success in receiving their degrees itself. Convocation is not only an important celebrated occasion to the students and degree holders, but it is equally happy occasion for the guardians, parents, teachers who have all invested in the students, their education, and who are all looking forward for their future, of course, bright future. A teacher gets satisfaction that his hard work, guidance, necessary help at the appropriate time has ultimately succeeded. That their words will now be on their own and will be the important citizens of this great nation. And as I have already mentioned, students get their recognition of their hard work over the years. This institution has been established in 1992, and all of you are aware how it has developed. We are indeed happy to know from Dr. Bansal the recognition which is accorded to this institution by important agencies including CII, ASSOCHAM, and others for its excellence, competence in bringing out qualified graduates and managers who will be finally the assets of the country. I am indeed very happy to have the presence of His Excellency the Ambassador of Japan on this occasion as Minister in the Government of India in various ministries. I had the privilege of working with Japanese government, policymakers, administrators, diplomats over almost 4.5 decades since I joined the government of Mrs. Indira Gandhi in the early 70s. While introducing the subject and convocation, welcoming all the guests present here, Sri Bansal referred to about some activities of a foundation named after me. I would just like to give a small clarification before I move to this convocation address, which is essentially addressed to the students. I would like to say that this is the contribution of some of my persons who are working with me, and some of them worked with me for almost 30, 40 years they thought that some of the ideas with which I made experiment as President of the Republic, 13th President, whether it could be continued through an institution, and to that effect they established this foundation. After being the President in 2012, spending almost 43 years of my life in Parliament and very active either in Treasury bench or sitting in opposition from day one till the last day, I did never stop speaking to my fellow parliamentarians, either as minister or as spokesman of the opposition. Almost quarter of a century, I served the government of India in different ministries, starting from defense, external affairs, commerce, finance, industries, steel and mines, and some ministries more than once or twice. Therefore, being a very active person in the public life, suddenly I found myself in a position of ceremonial head, and just to act as per the advice of my Council of Ministers, which I have appointed, and which are technically my Council of Ministers as President, just to act. And as per Article 74 of the Constitution, President is obliged to act on the advice of his Council of Ministers. So I found that it is not very interesting or very innovative to confine myself to that. Then to my pleasant surprise, I came to know, and it completely changed my perceptions, because during all these years which I served the government, unfortunately for me and perhaps fortunately for the people, that I did never serve the Ministry of Human Resource Development or earlier Education Ministry. But as President ex officio, I had to be the head as visitor for more than 100 central institutions, 46 central universities, including 3 specialized, design, marine and agricultural, others general universities, 16 IITs, 30 NITs, scores of IISERs, Indian Institutes of Management, and so on. Therefore, I learned a lot, and which I would like to convey to my young students, my perception of education and what we should do in India in advancing our education. And I'm happy that Japanese ambassador is present here, because a country without having much natural resources, having serious communication problems, not after the discovery or communication revolution, just a couple of decades back, but long before that. Conglomeration of the islands, not having many natural resources, but simply by developing and cultivating intellect, building up education system, bringing up talented and trained personalities, how a country could be one of the most advanced country in the world. For long years, even after the devastation of the Second World War, that means just in 1945, which the war came to an end, how Japan developed, that in a short span of time it was considered as one of the 8 world's richest country, member of the G8. At that point of time, only one Asian country. Today China has of course come. Not formally recognized, but its economy has substantially developed. But long before that, Japan was in the top bracket of the economically advanced countries. And I am grateful to Japan and the presence of His Excellency Ambassador. India, from the very beginning of its nation-building efforts and with the launching of the first 5-year plan, received support in terms of investment, in terms of training, in terms of educational cooperation, manufacturing cooperation, technological collaboration, undiluted and uninterrupted from one country, that is Japan. We are grateful to your contribution, Mr. Ambassador, wonderful country which you represent in our amidst us. Dear students, I would also like to draw your attention to one aspect, which to some extent is painful to me. Not totally painful, because I always want free exchange of mind, exchange of views, ideas across the oceans. But at the same time, I feel a little anguished when I feel a large number of Indian students, almost 600,000 in a year, leave the shore of India and go to other countries for higher education. As a student of history, it reminds me that now we are having the reverse picture. Almost for 1800 years, India was the center of the highest learning, education and research. From 6th century BC, the days of glorious Takshashila, to the collapse of Nalanda University, 600 BC to 12th century AD, almost 1800 years, India was the leading country in the field of higher learning, and Indian universities, whether Takshashila, whether Nalanda, whether Sompura, whether Odambi, and so on and so forth, they attracted mighty intellect in the forms of teachers and students to the Indian university. Why it is not today? Every year, two important organizations bring out their rating lists of top 200 universities in the world. Of course, I am happy that recently 3 Indian institutions have found place among them: IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, and also, of course, IISER Bangalore. But most of we have 767 universities today, more than 36,000 colleges. Our gross enrollment ratio has also substantially increased, and there has been physical expansion of the institutions of higher learning considerably over a period of time. But it is horizontally, not vertically. By vertically I mean qualitatively. Therefore, not only the physical expansion, establishment of the new institutions with adequate infrastructural facilities, but we must have excellent quality in the institutions. For that, to my mind, what is needed? We require both inspired teachers and inspired students. I will give you one example. And at the same time, the appropriate ambient and atmosphere. When India was under the foreign rule in the last century, around 1930s, one scholar, a brilliant scholar, working in Calcutta University, surprised the whole world by obtaining the Nobel Prize in Physics. He was Sir C.V. Raman in the early 30s. Thereafter we have Nobel laureates among us. Our graduates, our postgraduates, like Dr. Amartya Sen, Dr. Hargobind Khurana, Chandrasekhar, they have obtained Nobel Prize, but not unfortunately working in Indian universities, working in universities outside India, though all of them were the products of Indian university. Dr. Amartya Sen, Calcutta, Hargobind Khurana, Punjab University, and Subramaniam, Madras University. The short point which I am trying to drive at, we must create the ambition. We must create the appropriate atmosphere. Ambient must be convenient to research, to encourage research, to encourage innovation. Without research and innovation, and research I mean fundamental research on the fundamental basic sciences, if we don't have, we would not be able to create the requisite scientific temper which we talk of. It is not merely a matter of oration. It's a conviction. And every man is rational. But if his rationality is not encouraged through the educational system, through the training process, in course of time, he or she acquires lot of things which are not tested as per scientific temperament. Therefore, my advice, and perhaps I think I can give you advice, as very recently I have crossed 82 and reached 83. So, at that, in terms of age, I can advise to the youngsters that always have a question in your mind. Never accept anything without asking why. Why is the most important element in the quality of a student. Satisfy yourselves by putting questions, asking why, what are the reasons, what are the rationalities. Accept it after being fully satisfied. And I would also advise and suggest to the teachers that respond this quality of the students to enhance, and it should always be encouraged. I can give you a just example. Many of you have read how an inspiring teacher could build up a brilliant man. It was, the story relates to sometimes in late 70s and early 80s. It happened in Patna Science College. This college is known for its study in mathematics. One young man, suddenly it happened in a classroom of first year. In those days, the old systems were there. A mathematics teacher, he was a renowned professor in mathematics. He was taking his class, but maybe because of his unmindfulness or something, while making an equation on the board, blackboard, he missed a step and the equation was not equalized. And a young student, he was a bit impatient, getting up from his seat, sitting. Then the teacher's attention was drawn and he said, "What is happening to you? What is your discomfort?" The boy suddenly burst out and said, "Sir, the method in which you are doing the calculations, it will never come. The solution would not be there." Everybody was scared. Just first year boy. So teacher asked him and he said, "You solve." He did it quickly and said it can be done in 16 ways. Teacher was surprised. He warmly welcomed him with a broad smile and told him that you take some refreshment. He went. Then the teacher took him to the principal's room. And the boy was again mortally afraid. But when he went to the teacher's room, principal's room, principal very warmly welcomed him with a broad smile and told him that you take some refreshment and I have kept a blackboard for you. You do it 16 times, 16 ways. And seeing the blackboard, chalk pencil, duster, he was very confident and he did it. The end of the story is with the efforts of the principal and that teacher, that young boy at a very early age could complete his degrees with the special permission of the university, and finally he ended with an assignment in California University. This is the story. When I read it, I later on found out that life was very unfortunate, but that's a different story. The short point is, even a student should have the courage, if the teachers make the mistake, to point out, sir, it is not correct. And teachers should always encourage it. That is our parampara. That is our tradition. In the court of King Janaka, Gargi argued with Yagnavalkya and argued so severely that these discourses gave birth to an important Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, results of the argument. And that's why Dr. Amartya Sen has very correctly pointed out that Indians are argumentative. And I simply modify a little bit. Indian can be argumentative, but Indians can never be intolerant. Be argumentative, don't be intolerant. Intolerance has no place in our society. We must encourage everybody to come. We must go abroad. There should be exchange of faculties, more exchange of students, more cross-fertilization of ideas, views, exchanges, and more we do so, more we encourage in it, the more we will be developing ourselves. Please remember, it is not very important, it is important, but not the sole important thing to build up your career alone. Build up your career, it's all right. Have good job, fine. Enjoy your life with good parks and emoluments, etc. In the language of nowadays, with a good package, rather very good package. But at the same time, keep some place of your society, your country, in your scheme of things, in your ideas. Because you are the product of the society. Society has invested in you. They have built up this infrastructure. They have employed these lauded teachers. They have equipped the library. They have created a first-class laboratory which has provided the opportunities to you, and this is the social investment in you. And after all, after obtaining success, you have some responsibility to pay a small bit as the dividend to the society. Each and every one of us is the product of the society, and we must pay our due dividend to the society. My dear young students, when you are leaving the alma mater, the moment you leave the portal of this great institution, you will be on your own. You will have to face the hard reality of the daily life. But don't get nervous, because you have an asset. That asset has been given to you by your mentor, by your teacher, by your guides. The skill which you have acquired, the knowledge which you have stored in yourselves, it has given you the confidence. And as a young man you feel that I am equal to everybody, inferior not to anyone. Therefore I can take the challenges of the outside world with courage, fortitude, and I am sure this confidence will help you to overcome the problems of your hard world and of your hard competition in the daily life. With this confidence, you move, everything will be easy. I would not like to make my observations prolonged, but I would like to invite you sometimes, the students, to have contact with foundation. Occasionally I take classes This practice I started long ago. I began as a teacher. But most of my later part, as I mentioned earlier, education, I had practically to say goodbye to education before I came to the President's office at the fag end of my life. And as visitor, I found out that what we are doing and why we have not been able to be amongst the top class world universities as per the rating agencies. I am happy that some of these issues which I started, Education Minister and many others are following it. I deeply appreciate that. But I do feel they are the idea of mine when smart city concepts, smart village concepts came. I tried to establish the smart city in my presidential estate. Presidential house is just not the president who moves in buggy on 26 January from Rashtrapati Bhavan to take the salute, or on 29th January to come to the Rajpath to have the beating the retreat. Just not taking the job of the salutation. And that is not all of the President's house. 7,000 people live there. Almost a small township is within the four walls. So I decided that let all the facilities of the smart city be introduced. Everybody must have bank account. Everybody must have access to banking facilities, insurance facilities, post offices, hospitals, education. A first-class higher secondary school has been established within the campus, not only for the students. Long ago it was established and it is named after Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Every year I used to take class and teach constitution and government making in the top two classes of the Sarvodaya Vidyalaya established in the President's estate. Therefore I am inviting you, if you want, we can organize as per mutual convenience and fix up a day when I can have interaction with you and jokingly given the name of that system as Pranab Shri's Pathshala. Because when I used to take class, I used to tell the students, forget for the time being that I am the President of the Republic. I am head of the state. Just compare myself with any of your teacher, and as you call your teacher after his name, sir, Mr. X sir or Mr. Y sir, you can call me easily Mr. Pranab sir. I would not mind. And I am happy to inform you that most of them used to call me Pranab sir, and I enjoyed it. I wish you all success, young graduates. I congratulate the members of the faculty and the authorities for creating a beautiful institution like this, which is well recognized in a short span of 1920, 1992 to 2017, almost quarter of a century. I wish you all success and prosperity, development, progress, marching onward of this institution. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and with my best wishes to all the passing out graduates. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.